Hello, I'm Paul Beckwith. I'm with the University of Ottawa Laboratory for Paleoclimatology, and I'm also with Carleton University Department of Geography and Environmental Studies. I'm at Carleton University right now, and I'm going to chat to you a little bit about cognitive behavior therapy, or this is a field of psychology that sort of rewires how your brain works. If you have distorted thoughts, if your cognition is not working properly, then cognitive behavior therapy techniques are very useful. So I'm going to apply cognitive behavior therapy, distorted thinking ideas to near-term human extinction, and basically try to demonstrate that that type of thinking is distorted and illogical. So I need some exercise as I'm doing this, so I'll just kind of walk through the tunnels of Carleton University as I have a chat with you about this topic. So there's a list of 10 items in cognitive behavior therapy, 10 ways thinking is very distorted. So number one is black and white thinking, or all or nothing thinking. So the idea of near-term human extinction is, we have 7.5 billion people on the planet right now. We grow about 240,000 per day. So the idea of all of these people just dying, in the space of, say, 18 months or 2 years or even, 5 years, 10 years, that idea is extremely difficult to understand. Surely we would be seeing signs of this occurring right away. People would be dropping like flies, the numbers wouldn't continue to go up, they'd start dropping. So I think this is a prime example of distorted thinking. It's all or nothing thinking. What about half of the population? What about a quarter of the population? Certainly we'd see things, the growth rate would decline to zero, it would start dropping. We'd see signs of this. So these debates about whether or not this sort of thing is going to happen, seem kind of like, what's the point? Are we going to? We would have to see signs of this before we should really start being concerned about it. Otherwise, it's really pure fantasy, in my opinion. So, all or nothing thinking, black and white categories, no middle ground, no in between. That's a sure sign that there's distorted thinking involved. Number two on the list is overgeneralization. Always viewing, events as negative, never seeing a never-ending pattern of defeat. So something goes wrong, you overgeneralize. So, this is what people are doing. As we see some major, climate event occurring, it's like, we're all going to go extinct. And, this type of thinking is completely invalid as well. I'm getting lost in these tunnels here. Okay, so overgeneralization, taking climate events that are occurring now, trying to say that they're all leading up to supporting a view that you have that humanity is going extinct. We just don't see signs of that happening right now. There's a lot of things that are going wrong. Nobody's saying the climate system is not changing rapidly and we're in trouble as a society, but there's no signs. You'd have to jump over a cliff or a chasm of thinking in order to think that the entire 7.5 billion people on Earth, let alone the animals and plants, are all going to go extinct in a very short period of time. This is just distorted thinking. Number three on the list is the mental filters. You just dwell on the negative. You can't see any of the positive. One of the big problems that I have with people that think that we're heading for near-term human extinction is these people completely discount any possible action to reverse the issue. We've got ourselves into this mess, and yet there's no view that we can extricate ourselves from this. So the mental filter is completely closed down. Everything is seen through, this distorted lens of everything's negative. Every incident change in the climate system, in which it's very easy to find. There's many things going on every day. You know, it's all like, oh, we're going extinct. Oh, it's human extinction, you know? Like, this is really distorted thinking. I don't know if I'm going the right way here. I think I'm going the right way. I could be going the wrong way. Anyway, discounting the positives is number 4 on the list. There's a lot of positives on the climate front. The public is really starting to wake up and recognize the problem. Lots of politicians aren't. You know, there's setbacks with the Trump administration, for example. But there's a lot more scientists that are starting to speak out about the threats. There's lots of mainstream media articles that are actually talking about, hey, maybe we have to thicken the ice in the Arctic. Maybe we can't let it disappear. You know, there's lots of, as abrupt climate change accelerates, there's more and more people recognizing the problem, and that will eventually lead to very, very strong action on dealing with the problem. But we're not quite there yet. Okay, so, you know, some of the other positives are there's lots of different groups and people that are working on ideas to slash fossil fuel emissions. There's lots of people working on ideas to remove carbon from the atmosphere. There's lots of people working on ideas to block some of the sunlight and buy us time to deploy the other parts of the three-legged bar stool. So there are positives, right? But these are completely ignored by people that are in this sort of echo chamber of despair. Oh, we can't do anything, we're completely helpless. I mean, we haven't really tried to do much. I mean, what about taking the military budget of the US and spending it on addressing abrupt climate change for a few years? You know, and if that failed, yeah, then there's reason for despair, but we haven't even, you know, considered that possibility. So, number 5 is jumping to conclusions, okay? Mind reading, fortune telling. Okay, we got some people, unnamed, you know, are starting to really make a lot of noise about the idea that we're all going extinct in extremely short periods of time. So they're trying to fortune tell, and there's no evidence to support that. There's no really strong evidence, and there's no mechanism of what to do. Like there's no thought out mechanism. Like there's talk, oh, all the reactors are going to break down. Well, sorry, things don't all break down simultaneous. You know, it happens in cascading effects. And if we see signs of that, then thinking will have to change on how severe the problem is. But we don't have these things happening now. So, you know, fortune telling, very distorted thinking. You know, my crystal ball is saying we don't have a problem. You know, it's an opinion. Other people are saying we do have a problem. That's an opinion. But the vast majority of scientists and engineers and technical people do not, you know, they think that the people calling for near-term human extinction in a short period of time are nut bars. And I'm sorry to say that, you know, I think that the views are very distorted. I think that the views, this is a really neat poster here, by the way. We're missing a lot of this really cool art as I walk through these tunnels. So magnification is another, magnification or minimization are another couple distorted thinking examples. So magnification, blowing things way out of proportion, and minimization, saying things are useless and not important. So minimizing what's being done on abrupt climate change in terms of slashing fossil fuel emissions with surge to renewable energy. Maximization, whenever there's something, other news story, it's like, oh, woe is us, let's shorten the date. Instead of 3 years going extinct, it'll be 2 years or 1 year. You know, it's total distortions, magnification. Emotional reasoning, and it's another big one. Of course, emotions are gonna run into this. And, you know, emotions sort of take over. And this also clouds the mind of people who are who are preaching near-term human extinction. Anybody with opposing views is a jerk or is a troll, doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, this is absurd. The idea we're all going to be dead in 2 years, that's the absurdity. That's like get real, people here. Okay. Another thing is should statements. Shouldy, being shouldy, okay? So what should we do? The NTHE crowd is saying, just enjoy your life, can't do a thing. Roll over, stuff's all preset. Humans have no impact on their future destiny. We've pretty much had it, right? Love yourself, all this stuff. Well, sorry, I don't think I'm about to get into that category. I just don't buy it. I think it's very harmful thinking, and fortunately, most of the planet doesn't have that, and people will step up and take strong action, as humans always do. Labeling is another distortion. Calling people jerks, saying, hey, this is a non-biologist. He doesn't know anything about ecosystems or habitat. So it's only an ecologist or, an ecological person, a biologist, who can know what's going on. Well, I'm sorry. In order to have near-term human extinction, it's not just a biology problem. Human response is an enormous feedback. So, what do these people know about engineering methods to remove carbon from the atmosphere? What do these people know about science? What do these people know about the climate connections? What do these people know about geopolitics and, human response and how quickly humans can turn on a dime when their back is against the wall? Right? None of these things come into play. Instead of that, it's, don't listen to the non-biologists. Well, find other biologists who sort of have the same views, and maybe we can talk, maybe we can rethink things. And so labeling, and the last thing is, what's the last thing? Personalization and blame. People can disagree with your ideas. And if you fly off the handle and belittle people, try to put them down, think that you're on a pedestal and your ideas are all correct, in the Venn diagram, you're sitting in the middle of this diagram and your ideas are correct and the rest of the world is messed up if they don't agree with your views. I mean, this is, obviously this is completely biased thinking. So basically, I really call BS on near-term human extinction. 2 years, 3 years. I mean, that was the final straw for me. When it was 10 years or 2 decades out or 3 decades out, well, who knows? Things are going really bad. I mean, I've been talking about how bad the climate has been for ages. But the idea of 2 years, when it became 18 months, I just say, this is absurd. These ideas belong to, these are nutter ideas, not house ideas. So what I say to do is ask questions. Don't just accept what people tell you about, they say doom and gloom, NTHE is happening. Ask some serious questions like, how long, what views has this person had in the past? Did they predict that the whole economy was going to collapse in 2012? Didn't happen. Did they predict NTHE in 2 years? And that was 2 years ago? These people are really painting themselves into the corner by bringing the time frames down, and it's sensational. Go around the world and give talks to people, tell them they're all going to die, collect money on a road trip. I mean, I am hoping to go to a bunch of universities to talk about engineering ideas, to deploy things like CDR and SRM, and what can we do on the renewable front to accelerate that? What can we do to get the message out more to technical people, to engineers, to just people who can actually design things to remove CO2 from the atmosphere? And it was supposed to be arranged with one of the main NTHE guys, but he wanted $1,000 an hour to talk about this sort of thing with engineers. I mean, it's ridiculous. Right? I mean, he can go off and talk to the public about stuff, but he's unwilling to meet people who can actually do something about it and question his ideas. So, it becomes like an echo chamber, becomes almost like a sort of cult thing, a club. If you feel this way, you're in the club. If you don't feel this way, you're out of the club. Well, sorry, I'm not in the club. I'm not giving up. I think there's lots of things that humanity can do, and I'm going to get a move